Alright, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So we're basically playing a little bit of catch up this weekend. We're going to get caught up on all the recent Shonen Jump chapter stuff that dropped. So I just finished recording the videos for Akane both last week and this week's chapter. We're going to get around to Kaiju and Spy Family as well today. Like I mentioned in the last couple of videos, expect read-throughs to hopefully come back sometime next weekend. I still do have quite a bit of catch up to do this week. It's going to be very busy, but I'm going to try to do my best to get caught up. Look for a proper channel update, some video sometime next week with more semi-concrete plans. Just wanted to throw that out there. Really, I'm looking forward to getting back to read-throughs. So hopefully it won't be too much longer before we kind of get back to your regularly scheduled programming, so to speak. But with that said, we're going to dive into Kaiju here in just a second. Just a couple of quick things before we do. One, if you hear noise in the background, that's because I do have a fan running right now. It is hot as balls here, so I don't want to be, steaming inside my own skin. So I do have a fan set up. Tested it out already. It shouldn't be drowning out my voice or anything. There shouldn't really be anything noticeable unless there's a major lull in the video where I'm not talking for some reason. It shouldn't be drowning out my voice or anything like that. But if you hear something in the background, you're wondering what it is. That's just just have a fan running. That's what the noise is coming from. And as always, just want to remind you all that if you do like this content, please do consider commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. Especially now that Twitter is becoming more and more unusable day by day. It's getting harder to try and promote this content on there. So YouTube's kind of really my only bet going forward. And the YouTube algorithm really loves it when you press those little buttons because it gives a little serotonin boost. So if you'd like to do that and help me out, that'd be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let us dive into Kaiju No. 8, Chapter 86 by Naoya Matsumoto, with translation by David Evelyn, lettering by Brandon Bovia. We pick up with a little flashback to Narumi having a spar with Isao, who says, "Show me your skills. I don't need an incompetent officer who's nothing but talk." And you see Narumi just vein popping as he's getting all mad with a little bloody nose. And he goes, "In the end, no matter how much I tried," and you see them just practicing some kendo together. You see him trying to trick him with the whole put a chalk duster over the doors when he opens it, it'll drop down, with Isao just opening and catching in his hand. And also in a judo match, him just effortlessly throwing him. It's not once was I ever able to wow that geezer. And you see back off with Narumi's fight with the water kaiju. Yeah, 15 minutes have passed since full release. Sing stress is at level 3. It's he's on the verge of overheating. If Captain Narumi could at least get the kaiju in range. And you see the kaiju just shooting more of its waterbending balls towards Narumi. And he it just dashes in close with the swords. He got in close. He's RT0001. And you see a kachak as these rings of water just latch onto him and stop him in place. As the kaiju bashes him back and goes, "I know that one. Number 1 was called the Future Sight Kaiju, but the truth is, it's pseudo-foresight. You simply read the electrical signals your target's body emits and use that information to predict their movements. You can't predict the movements, however, of an inorganic threat that homes in on you automatically." And you see more water bubbles flying towards him. He just bashes back. And they're "He's fending it off." It's "You're darn straight he is. We're talking about Captain Narumi after all. His close quarters combat ability is on par with Vice Captain Hoshina's, at the top of the whole defense force." And you see him getting in close again as he goes, "Squadron-style gunsword technique number 1. As he the veil and he's just bulging in his face. And the kaiju's "I know that one too. It's a corruption slash," as he tries to do it and he just blocks it again. It's "It blocked it? So the water acts as an automatic shield?" And it lashes out with a fist, which Narumi dodges. And he does a number 2 salvo slash. He's "In that one too." And you see water tendrils just firing at him. It's number 1 eruption slash, number 2 slash salvo, number 3 thunderfire, number 4 flame shower, number 5 sky turner, number 6 seven branch sword. I know all of them. After all, you see a wave of water or a cord of water just wrapping around Narumi, holding him in place. As it goes, "I was given Isao Shinomiya's memories," as the kaiju just bulks itself up. Oh, the dub band just sends Narumi flying back. You have numbers weapon 1, right torso heavily damaged. Initiating bypass from circuit 2 to 4. Hairline fractures in 8th and 9th ribs on left side. Diverting 2% of suit's constructed muscle to control bleeding. And you have a Tumas the Kaiju's walking closer going, this is a letdown, Gen Narumi. It's like, there are words in my memories that I'll deliver in place of your master. I don't need an incompetent officer. Die here. You see just summoning like a bunch of orbs of water. And it's like, the odds are too stacked against him. The Kaiju's not just countering number 1's abilities. It even has the memories of Isao, the one person who knows Narumi better than anyone. There's nothing he can do against... You see a pew with something like, I think, assumed bullets bite into his shoulder. He's like, I got hit? Like, no, it just grazed me. It was a fluke. I see Narumi standing there with the barrel of his gun pointed at it, with a no need to give me that look, Mr. Isao. And he imagines like the superimposed like visage of Isao just behind the kaiju. So I'm finally ready to wow the hell out of you. The kaiju just looks all confused as this Narumi comes flying in, slashes through all the water, and manages to cut off one of the kaiju's arms as it looks at it in shock. Alright, very action-packed chapter, so not much to say. It's been a while, I think. This kaiju's been on break for a couple of weeks now. So my thoughts really haven't changed much from the last chapter where I kind of critiqued the direction this arc was heading. So yeah, again, I feel like a lot of this, even the flashback with him being like, Isao being like, oh, I don't need an incompetent officer or anything like that. On the one hand, like, the stuff Narumi goes through this is like very stereotypical shonen stuff, where like, he has a flashback, like it has a little mini training montage. He has the whole like, oh, I'm going to surpass you right here, right now moment. It's all very like stereotypical Shonen Jump, but again, I wish Kaiju had done more with it, and I feel like it could have done more with it, because I feel like using that to really lean into the devastation of the defense force not being able to fight back at all, being completely outclassed by the Kaiju. Especially with what they display in this chapter, like, the Kaiju being like, oh, I have Isao Shinomiya's memories are specifically created to be able to counter you. I feel like it would have been more devastating and impactful for the defense force to very, very badly lose this one skirmish and then have a round 2 later on, that's when the moment is when they're like, I'm going to finally show you the fruits of my training and kind of surpass you now. So it's a little bit disappointing that we don't really get that moment. Instead, we're having like, oh, they faced a little difficulty at first, but they're going to learn to surpass it, through sheer grit and determination, stuff like that. It really doesn't do it to me, because again, I feel like Kaiju is better when it does things that aren't so telegraphed and so expected. So in that regard, this chapter is very disappointing, especially because I feel like there are things you could have done, again, to kind of circumvent, how the criticism of like, oh, why would the defense force have been killed, like what would force the Kaiju to drop back. Apart from the idea, like I pointed out, we still have others numbers weapons that we were told about those candidates for. That would have been one easy way to kind of circumvent the skirmish, like have it leave it unfinished, is like have them come into the rescue, where the Kaiju are like, oh, I don't have data on these ones, there are new unidentified threats, we have to pull back for now. Or the same way that, God, why do I not remember his name? Cross Eyes. Narumi, the same way Narumi's like, oh, they're saying like all his heat suits overheating, etc. You could have done the same with the Kaiju, been like all their prototypes, so they have limitations to their powers as well. Despite the fact that they're able to, drive them to the edge, they still did manage to kind of push themselves to the limit as well. Blah blah blah, which would have made the defense force look good, even though they suffered such a devastating loss. Would have allowed the Kaiju to kind of eke out the victory, and be like, alright, the defense force survives to fight another day. So I feel like all of that would have been vastly more interesting than Narumi being like, oh, well, I'm going to surpass you right now. I'm going to be like, faster and stronger and better. I'm going to beat your predictions, all that. So, I don't know. We'll see how the next couple of chapters go, because it really depends on what direction they're going to take Narumi's thing. Is it going to be like, oh, is his pseudo future sight evolving into actual future sight because of his countless battles against all these different kaiju? Because the same way it's like, oh, I have Sao kaiju's like I have with Sao's memories, blah blah blah. I feel like Narumi could do the same thing, be like, I've battled like countless kaiju, blah blah blah. I know what kind of techniques and stuff they do. So I'm drawing on like this vast arsenal of experience I have to kind of out predict you and predict what kind of moves you're going to use, stuff like that. I feel like that's the direction this is going, but we'll see if that's what it's going to be or not. But yeah, again, at this point, I'm kind of just looking to see how this arc ends before I fast any kind of final judgment. But disappointing because it started off with a lot of great potential, but I feel like relying on going back to like the shonen tropes again is kind of kneecapped it a little bit. But yeah, it is what it is. So we'll see what the next chapter is like. Action is always, as always, is still good. Art is still phenomenal, but story is a little bit weak. So like I mentioned at the beginning, if you enjoyed this content, as always, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned, it really does mean a lot to me. Both the Akane videos should be out by now, and Kaiju and Spy Family should be out by this afternoon as well. So look forward to that. Like I mentioned, I'll try to get a proper video out sometime next week with regards to the Shonen Jump chapter, or Shonen Jump chapter, the read-throughs, when they're coming back, what's on the docket, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm going to try to at least make it semi-concrete. I don't know if I have concrete dates and stuff for you yet, but I'll have at least something semi-concrete out for you by then, so there's that to look forward to. And yeah, so like I said, I hope you all enjoyed. Until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.